Hello, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions. And in this video, we're going to discuss some of the considerations when choosing an EV conversion kit. Back in 2008, when we started, there were very few companies that offered EV conversion kits. Today, there's quite a few to choose from. There are kits that offer just the basic components to kits that are plug-and-play and bolt-in affairs. The term kit means different things to different people. So what is a kit? To me personally, a kit is all-inclusive, meaning it includes all the necessary components, parts necessary to build the said item. EV4U never sold kits. We sold what we called a component package. And that was because it wasn't all-inclusive. It contained 98% of everything that you needed, but it wasn't all-inclusive, wasn't plug-and-play. So we didn't label it as a kit. But as we saw from the definition, those that are selling something that isn't all-inclusive and plug-and-play, it's still a kit. And so we're going to take a look at some of the kit options out there. First, we're going to look at some examples of companies that are offering complete kits. And these are kits that are plug-and-play, bolt-in affairs. And we're going to take a look at those first. All right, so that was some examples of what I would call a complete kit. Now, the following are not plug and play, but they're advertised as complete kits. Let's take a look at what they say. So is the kit you are considering all-inclusive? If not, what's lacking? So obviously, kits that are not all-inclusive will require the converter to provide the additional items needed to complete the conversion. Just some of the possible items are: here are some additional things to consider before purchasing a kit. 1. Your abilities. And so the big picture understanding of a conversion is very important. What you don't know can cost you. So your abilities need to include some insights as to how a conversion all goes together. Because most of these, there's probably more kits out there that are not all-inclusive than those that are all-inclusive. So you're going to need to have a big picture understanding so that you have an idea how to do this correctly, how to do some of these things that are required that we're going to talk about in just a minute. But first, we were talking about the things to consider. So one of them is the space needed. I've known people that have converted vehicles, beside their garage, out underneath, a tarp. So there's no real limitations, but I think you need to be honest with yourself and the time frame and so forth. Do you have the space required to do the job to your satisfaction? And do you have the tools required? And then, vehicle selection. In our workshops, we talk quite a bit about vehicle selections and what makes a better conversion than something else and why. We go into quite a bit of detail on that. So you might give that some thought. The funds required. Remember, if it's not all-inclusive, you've got the kit price plus the price of all the other, necessary components. And remember, right down to, um, connectors and zip ties, heat shrink, miscellaneous hardware. There's a lot of little things, and it can add up to a pretty good amount. The other is the kit contents. Are these new parts? Are they salvage components? Is this a universal kit, or does this kit match your vehicle and your requirements? Another consideration is the battery pack chemistry. What's the chemistry used and provided with the kit? What's the battery pack capacity? Does the kit provide documentation, instructions, schematics? What's the motor type? This kit designed for a specific type of propulsion system? Is it direct drive, or does it go through a transmission? Is instrumentation provided? Does the kit provide any of the auxiliary systems, such as power brakes, power steering, cabin heat, air conditioning? Does it have a warranty? And of course, the company that's providing the kit. What kind of customer service? I would recommend checking some of the reviews for the kit, the company, and the components used. Be familiar with the components that are included with this kit and how are they received. Let's talk some basics for a moment. The main components used in a conversion. You're basically going to have 5 main components. You have the motor, the controller, the battery pack, charger, and a DC to DC converter. Additionally, you're going to have a auxiliary battery or 12-volt battery, relays, fuse blocks, safety interlock, inertia switch, meters, gauges, lights, fuses, pumps, chill plate, radiators, fans, vacuum pump, pressure switch, vacuum reservoir, contactors, cabin heater, perhaps an air conditioning compressor, switches, terminal strips, terminal posts, wire, connectors, lugs, heat shrink, cable, shunt, throttle, motor mounts, charge port, power steering pump. And this is just a partial list. So now, staying with the basics, let's talk about some of the systems used in a conversion. Well, you've got your 12-volt circuits, and you're going to have 2 different types of 12-volt circuits. You're going to have switched and unswitched. Unswitched are circuits that are on all the time. They're powered by your auxiliary battery, and they're on all the time. And the switched circuits, again, powered by your auxiliary battery, but they're switched through the ignition. So they're only on when the ignition's on. Then you have your traction pack circuit. And there's a high voltage, high current circuit, which goes through the controller and motor. And then you have a traction pack circuit that's high voltage, low current. For instance, your charger and your DC to DC converter. And you have the traction pack charging system, you have thermal management systems, both for the conversion components and passenger compartment. DC to DC system, you've got your controller and input and output systems, you've got your battery management system. So kind of add to those main components we just talked about. These are main components that are used, and they're related parts and systems. For instance, the motor. The motor needs to be compatible with the weight and drag coefficient of the vehicle and be able to do whatever the work is that vehicle needs to do. Along with that motor, you're going to need an adapter, coupler, and a mounting system or direct drive mounting system. You're going to need thermal control. You're going to need wiring for both power and control. The controller, mounting of the controller, thermal control, the wiring, both DC and AC aspects of the controller, if it's an inverter, an AC conversion. You're going to have your high voltage DC input. You have a system disconnect, fuses, contactors, You can have your KSI circuit, your throttle control, as well as additional input and output circuits, programming parameters. And for the motor and controller, you're going to have some kind of monitoring system. And then there's the battery pack. What's the chemistry, the capacity, new or salvaged, battery pack containment, mounting, battery pack location, and containment mounting are extremely important safety issues. Thermal control, wiring, as well as disconnects, fuses, contactors, and like I mentioned, monitoring and control systems such as a BMS. Then there's the charger, size and capacity of the charger, mounting location, wiring. There's the charge port type, charging times, the control system. All these things need to be known and considered. The DC to DC converter, the last of the main components we mentioned. Size and capacity, mounting location, wiring, fuses. Here's some additional general component considerations. The component space or volume that it takes up, location and mounting considerations. And there's certain components that should be in proximity to one another, like the motor and controller, the charger and charge port, the DC to DC converter and the 12-volt battery, the main disconnect and the most positive point in your battery pack. And then there's the sequence of the build and installation of components. And of course, there's the safety of handling the components and wiring circuits. Listed at last, but safety should be first. I recommend that you check out EV4U's online EV workshops. It's the only online EV workshop that is designed specifically to teach you what you need to know to convert a vehicle from internal combustion to electric. EV4U has taught more people worldwide how to do it right the first time than anyone else. EV4Unow.com. That's where you can check out the online workshops as well as other information regarding EV conversions. We can help you design and build a safe, simple, and reliable EV conversion. I thank you for watching, and let us know your experience with EV conversion kits.